Tonight, I want to take you back, not to a place you've read about in books, but to a life you've half forgotten. To the mountains of feudal Japan, where mist wraps the trees and the air hums with quiet obedience, where sandals leave shallow prints in the dirt and paper doors murmur in the wind. This is not a history lesson. This is memory, and it belongs to you. Where are you watching from? What time is it there? Is your room quiet now? Dim the lights, put your phone down. Let your breath slow down. Feel the weight behind your eyes. No need to stay awake. You don't have to understand anything. You just have to feel like you've been here before. Because maybe you have. Maybe that's why your chest is heavy tonight. Like something old is trying to rise. Let your body melt into the bed. Let your limbs go still. No effort. Just air. In and out. Soft and slower now. Let me take you there. Let me remind you what it was like. To wake up in a straw hut before the sun, before the rice, before the punishments, before the sword, before all of it. The door creaks. The light is gray. There is smoke in the distance. Someone is already walking. And you are about to remember who you were. Sleep now. You'll wake up there soon. You wake to the sound of nothing. Not silence. Exactly. Something quieter. The kind of quiet that has never known engines, clocks, or voices behind glass. It's the quiet of dawn in a world without light bulbs, a world that doesn't know your name. Not anymore. The ceiling is straw. You see each dried stalk where the moonlight fades. Dust drifts above you, falling so slowly it might never reach the floor. Your body feels heavy, not from sleep, but from how the mat presses into your back. Rough, damp in places, and warmer where you must have sweated in the night. You try to move, but your limbs remind you. The ache is already there. Shoulders, thighs, the base of your neck. You're not sure why yet. You just know. You were not allowed rest. Your hand reaches for the thin blanket at your waist. It's scratchy. Not cotton, not soft. Just something to keep the wind from slicing through the cracks in the wall. Beneath it, you are clothed, but not comfortably. Your robe clings in places. The back of your knee is wet. The cold hasn't left yet. You blink again. The wall ahead of you is made of pressed mud. Splinters of wood cross the surface, but they hold no decoration. There are no paintings here, no lanterns, just a chipped bowl in the corner. In a bucket that smells faintly of rainwater and something else you don't want to remember, you sit up slowly. The rush of blood to your head makes the world sway just for a second. Then you notice your hands, rough, calloused, dirt under the nails. You try to remember what they've done, but the memory is fog. You just know they hurt. The door is closed. Thin, wooden planks tied together with rope, bent in the middle from too many seasons of warping rain. A single bar holds it shut, not locked, just wedged, to keep out the dogs, or something else. Your knees crack as you stand. The floor is dirt, packed hard by bare feet. Your feet now, you feel every stone as you walk. A short distance, 3 steps, maybe 4. The roof feels too low, though you don't stand straight. You open the door. And air moves in. Not warm, but not bitter either. Just the kind of cold that belongs to early rice fields and deep valley shadows. It smells like wet wood, like moss and faint smoke. There's no fire in your hearth. The ashes are pale. No one lit it for you. You were meant to wake early and find warmth elsewhere, maybe at the edge of the village, maybe by the shrine. The world outside your hut is gray. It's not morning yet, but close. The sky is soft with fog. You see only outlines. The slant of another roof, the wide base of a pine, a path worn thin with footsteps older than yours. You bend down to touch the earth. Your fingers press into the same grooves you walked yesterday. You do not know how many days you've walked this way, but your body remembers the direction. It always does. You step out, barefoot. The wind touches your neck. The village begins to wake behind your eyes. Your breath shows in the morning air, a pale cloud that vanishes before it drifts. It reminds you of something, maybe your mother, or a winter you lived through before this one. But the memory does not stay. It passes like your breath. Your steps are slow, not because you are lazy, but because every movement must be careful here. The ground is uneven. The air is watching. You are not the kind of person who can afford to fall. You return inside for the rice. It waits in a clay bowl near the hearth. Cold now, with a film over the top, like skin forming on soup left too long. It's yesterday's rice. You do not get fresh rice in the morning. Only what was left. Only what no one else claimed. You pick it up with 2 hands, bowing slightly toward nothing in particular, just as you were taught. Gratitude is not a feeling here. It's a gesture, an obligation. The chopsticks are short, worn smooth where your fingers hold them. You eat standing, facing the doorway, eyes on the fog. One mouthful, then another. Chew slowly, or your stomach will complain later. Somewhere outside, a rooster calls once, not with pride, just to remind you that the sun is coming whether you're ready or not. You finish the last grains. Lick the edge of the chopstick. Place it back with quiet hands. Then the slippers. They wait just by the door. 2 wooden geta, strapped with dark cloth, cracked at the toe. Coated with the dust of 100 mornings, you slip your feet in. They don't fit well. They never did. But they keep you just above the mud. You step outside again. The sky has not changed much, but now there is sound, distant voices. Metal scraping wood, a bucket clattering near the stream. Life has begun moving, even if the world still feels asleep. You tie your robe tighter. It's thin, but the knot gives you shape, makes your chest feel protected, makes your back feel held. The path is visible now. Ruts in the soil. Bent grass where others walked before you. It leads toward the shrine. It always does. But you know there will be detours. Always are. A child will cry somewhere. Someone will call you back. A dog will watch you too long from the road. But for now, you walk forward. Toward incense. Toward silence. Toward the old gods who have never once answered you. The rice settles in your belly. The wind dries the sweat behind your ears. The slippers knock gently against the stones. And the day is only just beginning. You walk alone. The village is still quiet, but not silent now. Distant feet. A soft cough. A splash of water behind a woven curtain. But no one greets you. No one ever does before sunrise. That's the rule. Or maybe just habit. In this village, quiet is safer than conversation. Your wooden slippers knock gently against stone, then dirt, then a mix of both. The path is not straight, curves like it was carved by rain, not people. On your left, a low wall made of piled river rock. On your right, thin trees, not forest, not field, just a sparse in-between that hides things you don't ask about. You pass a cart left in the open. Its wheels are half buried in the earth, as if it gave up moving weeks ago. A bucket rests beside it, overturned. The handle points toward the shrine. You don't touch it. The path grows narrower as you climb. Your breath becomes warmer, then disappears altogether in the morning air. The shrine always sits higher. That's the way it was built. Above your home, above your chores, above your choices. Your calves begin to ache. A slope, subtle but constant. The mud is sticky from last night's rain. One foot slips slightly. You catch yourself without thinking. If your body remembers this path, even if your mind is slow to wake. You see the Torii gate before anything else. The paint is fading. Was it ever red? Or just stained with old prayers? The crossbeam holds a single string of paper charms. Some are torn. Some hang damp and curled. All of them flutter as you pass. You stop before walking under. You always do. A breath in, a slow bow. You are not sure if you still believe in what's waiting beyond the gate. But you bow anyway. Not for faith. For habit, for memory, for fear. You step through. The air changes. Cooler still. The noise of the village fades, even though it's not far. The shrine sits among ancient cypress, their trunks wide and dark. Roots twist through stone. Moss clings to everything. Even your skin feels softer here, like the world is watching with calm eyes. The shrine is small. No grand statues. No gold. Just a raised platform. Slanted roof. A bell on a frayed rope. And a shallow box where coins wait without guards. You climb the wooden steps. They creak beneath your weight. The sound is sharp in this silence. You bow again, hands together. 2 slow claps. Not loud. Just enough to stir the spirits, if they ever bothered to listen. You speak no words. There's nothing new to ask for. Only the same things. Let the sun rise. Let the fields grow. Let no one see your mistake. You drop your coin. You bow once more. Then you sit on the top step, as you always do, not praying, just breathing. The air smells of cedar and dust. Somewhere nearby, a bird calls once, then stops. And behind the shrine, a sound, not loud, not human, a branch, or a footstep. You don't move. You don't look. If it was meant for you, it will come closer. But nothing follows. So you stay seated, and you wait for the wind to shift. You rise from the shrine step with slow legs. The ache in your knees reminds you of the punishment stone. But that was yesterday, or the day before, or maybe longer. It all feels like one stretch of dull morning light. Like the world has not changed, only repeated. You walk back down the path. This time, the stones feel colder. The breeze against your neck is sharper now, like it has teeth, like it wants to remind you who you are. Near the bottom of the slope, before the path splits, she is there, as she always is. Or maybe not always. Maybe it just feels like she waits here, like the trees do. Motionless, rooted in silence. She stands by the old water trough. Thin shoulders, hands clasped in front of her apron. Not young, but not old either. The kind of face that feels forgotten by both. She does not speak. You nod. She nods. Her eyes meet yours for a second too long. Then from her sleeve she pulls a small square of cloth, wrapped tight, edges frayed. She places it in your hand. It's light. Too light to be food. Too carefully folded to be trash. You bow slightly. More from reflex than gratitude. You have received things like this before, always without asking. She turns away before you can open it. Her feet make no sound. She disappears between two huts, leaving the air colder than it was. You unwrap the cloth. It's inside. A pinch of salt, white, grainy, still warm from her body. Your fingers close around it. This is not a gift. This is a message. In this village, salt is not given. Not unless something has been seen. Not unless someone thinks you've touched something you shouldn't have. Salt keeps the spirits out. Salt marks those they follow. You look around, but no one else is watching. Just the trees. Just the slope behind you. Just the mist. You fold the cloth again. Place it in your sleeve. Salt never goes in the pocket. You were taught that young. The road bends to the east. That's where the smith works. It's where the men are. You turn west instead, toward the bamboo. Toward the sound you heard yesterday but pretended not to. Toward the thing that's been waiting for you to remember it. Your fingers brush your robe. The salt is still there. You don't know if it's enough, but you walk anyway. 'Cause in this village, you cannot run. Not during the day. Not with wooden shoes. And not when something already knows your name. The path beneath your feet turns to mud. Not the soft kind, but the kind that's been walked through too many times. Pressed down by sandals, carts, dogs, maybe even something else. The kind of mud that holds memory.
Ow.
Even when no one else does. You pass the last house before the trees. Its roof sags. The paper walls are patched with scraps of cloth. No. Sound comes from inside. But the door is cracked open. Just enough for someone to watch, if they wanted to. You don't look. You never look. The bamboo begins without warning. One moment you're on the edge of the village. The next, swallowed by stalks taller than the shrine. They creak in the wind. Not all at once, but slowly. Like they're stretching. Or listening. You step between them. The air shifts. Cooler. Thicker. And still. Even the birds are quiet here. Your slippers leave shallow prints in the moss. A thread of water runs beside the path. Not a stream, just the remains of one. It carries fallen leaves, a sliver of broken gourd, something pale that might have once been cloth. You keep walking. You don't call out. No one calls out in the bamboo grove. Trees are too close. The light is too green. The wind doesn't know how to echo here. Then you see it. Not ahead, not behind, but off to the left. Between two stalks in the distance, dark. Still, too tall to be a child, too narrow to be a man carrying something. Just there, waiting the shadow. You stop. It does not move. You look down, a reflex, checking your feet, your hands, the cloth in your sleeve. The salt is still there, warm. You look up again. The shadow is gone. No sound. No branch moved. But the space it left feels wrong. Too quiet now. Like the trees themselves held their breath, you walk on. Faster, the path twists. Bamboo leans closer overhead. You try not to run, but your chest tightens. Not from fear, from memory. You've seen that shape before? Not recently, not in this life. But you've seen it. When the fire reached the edge of the forest, when the well stopped giving water, when your sister's name was said in a whisper and never again out loud, you stop at the clearing. A round space, pressed flat by time. In the center, a broken altar. Just stone and moss now. No offerings, no prayers. But this is where the shadow always stands when it returns. You step forward, slowly. The salt in your sleeve grows hot, or maybe your skin does. You kneel beside the stone, not to pray, just to see. Scratched into the rock. 3 lines. You do not understand them, but your hands remember the shape. You've drawn them before. In dirt, on your wall, maybe even in blood, you rise. The trees have not moved, the wind has not returned, but something inside you has shifted. The air is heavier now, not with danger, but with knowing. You are not just someone in the village. You are not just the one who sharpens the blade. You are something else, something that has always walked this path, something the shadow remembers, and now it waits. Not to chase you, but to follow. The grove doesn't follow you home, but its silence clings to your sleeves, like the scent of wet moss. It's like old breath caught in cloth. You walk without looking behind you, not out of courage, but because you were taught never to give a shadow your back and your eyes at once. By the time you reach the courtyard, the sky is pale. It's not blue, just less gray than before. The kind of morning light that makes everything look like it's been underwater too long. The walls of the compound rise around you, wooden and dry, but breathing. You can hear the slow creak of beams warming with the sun. No one else is here yet. The blade is where it always waits, wrapped in an old cloth, resting on the low bench just outside the smith's shed. It is never inside. It is not allowed inside. You kneel beside it. Cloth is stiff at the edges, dark patches where blood once soaked through. Not from a wound you made, but from one you were told not to ask about. You unwrap it slowly. First the hilt smooth, carved, blackened by years of sweat. Then the guard small, plain, a nick at the edge where something hard once struck. And finally, the blade. It is not sharp. Not now, but it could be. That's your job, not to use it. Not to own it, only to return it to what it once was. You pull the whetstone from beneath the bench, the cloth bundle, the little bowl with water already inside, cloudy from the last sharpening. You dip your fingers in. The cold wakes something inside you. You wet the blade, holding it with both hands. One at the hilt, one near the tip. The metal is heavier than it looks, like it remembers every time it was swung. You lay it against the stone and begin. The first stroke is slow, long, careful. The sound it makes is thin, like wind dragging across dry teeth. You breathe with it, in with the lift, out with the pull again, and again. Each pass reveals more of the edge. Not light, not shine, just potential. You work in silence, because the blade demands it. Because sound would remind you that you are not the one meant to touch it, but someone must. The master has not returned, not since the last time, and the blade will be needed again soon. The sun reaches the edge of the roof. Its light glances off the metal. Not bright, not bold, but steady. You pause. Run your thumb along the edge. Catches slightly. Not enough to cut. Enough to whisper. Almost. No? You reach for the cloth again. Wipe it once. Then twice. And wrap it once more. Not tightly. The blade is never truly asleep. Only waiting. Place it back on the bench. Stand slowly. Your knees crack again. The wet stone goes into the basin. You pour what's left of the water onto the earth. It sinks in without sound. The courtyard is still empty. No one will ask if you touched the sword, but someone will know. They always do. And when they do, you'll need more than salt to explain why. But you turn toward the back of the compound, toward the hill behind the shed. The punishment rock waits there, and it has missed you. The path behind the shed is overgrown. No one tends it anymore. Not since the last fire. Not since the child disappeared. Not since you were first made to kneel here. You part the brush with your hands. It scrapes your knuckles. But you don't pull away. You deserve that much, don't you? The earth turns dark beneath your feet, worn smooth by too many knees, crushed flat by too many apologies. And there it is, the rock. Not large, not sharp, just there. A low, wide stone, flattened by years of skin, cloth, and the weight of guilt. It doesn't glow, it doesn't whisper, it simply waits. You step forward. There's no one around, no master, no priest, no hand to push you down. Still, you kneel, your knees touch first, then your hands, then your head bent forward, touching your wrists. The position of shame, the posture of memory. You hold it. 1 breath, then 2, then 10. The wind moves through the tall grass behind you, but nothing touches your back. That part is yours to carry. You open your hands, palms up. You feel the grain of dirt in every line of your skin. Cold of the rock seeps into your bones. And now comes the whisper. Not from the trees, not from spirits, but from you. It comes like a song you were taught but never wanted to learn. A chant not made of words but of feelings you do not let yourself name. I touched the blade, you breathe so softly it barely formed sound. I saw the shadow, I took the salt, I did not run. Each word leaves something behind, not in the air, but in your body. They settle in your belly, your throat, your teeth. You clench your fingers. You do not cry. That's not what this place is for. The punishment rock does not forgive. It only listens, and it always remembers. A bird calls overhead. It's not a warning, just time passing. You rise. Your knees are marked. Your sleeves are dirty. Your pride is heavier. You bow to the rock, not for it. For you? Then you walk back down the slope. The village feels farther now. The shrine, the grove, the sword, they're behind you, but not gone. They're in your blood again, where they've always lived. You step onto the main path just as someone calls your name. You don't turn yet, because whoever it is, they know what you did. And they know why the rock did not crack beneath you.
No.
Your name drifts behind you, carried on a voice to calm, to ignore. Not angry, not urgent, but certain. The kind of voice that doesn't repeat itself. Because it doesn't need to. You turn. He stands near the gate, wearing gray. Sleeves wide, feet bare, head shaven, a monk. Not one from the main temple, not one from the village shrine. He comes from the outer edge, where the mist doesn't rise, where no bell calls prayer, where silence trains the soul. You bow, not deeply, just enough. He does not bow back. His eyes study you without blinking. Then, a single gesture. His hand rises, palm open. Follow. You do. Your legs still ache from the rock. Your knees sting with every step. But you walk behind him, not beside, never beside. The monastery is not far. Tucked beyond the rice fields, built into stone that never warms. Its roof is black, its doors low, its windows papered so thick that no light escapes. He leads you inside. The hall is narrow, long, lit only by oil pressed from seed and silence. You remove your slippers. You kneel. A mat waits for you, worn smooth by generations of bowed backs. The monk sits across from you. His hands rest on his knees. He says nothing. You wait. Breath slows. Your spine begins to ache. You ignore it. The room makes no sound. Not even wind through the cracks. Stillness is louder than anything here. And then he speaks. One word again. You shift. Sit straighter. Hands flat on thighs. Eyes unfocused. Not looking. Not searching. Just being. 10. He says it like breath, not command. You inhale. Exhale. The ache grows. Your legs fall asleep. Your mind does not. It runs to the blade, to the woman with the salt, to the shadow you did not chase. Again, the pain in your thighs sharpens. But you grit your teeth. The floor beneath you grows cold, but you do not move. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is obedience to it, again. Your heart beats louder now, but nothing else does. Not your fingers, not your shoulders, not your thoughts. Only breath. Only the weight of your own body in your own life. The monk nods once. Not approval, not reward, just acknowledgement. You've lasted this long, which means you can last a little longer. He stands. You do not. Not yet. When you finally rise, your legs nearly fail you. You bow deeply this time. Your sweat leaves a print on the mat. The monk is already gone. You walk out into the air again. It feels sharper, more honest. You have learned nothing new. Just only remembered what you were meant to forget. How to be still. Even when something is coming. Especially then. The walk to the tea house is short, but your body feels each step like it's being counted. Your knees are still slow. Your thighs stiff from kneeling too long. But pain is not punishment here. It is proof that something in you has been made quieter. The village road forks at a crooked lantern. One side leads toward the fields, where voices grow louder with each passing hour. The other leads to the back lanes, where dogs sleep under porches, and no one speaks unless spoken to. Take the second path. It smells of wood smoke and damp rice straw. The air is warmer here, but still heavy. The kind of warmth that doesn't comfort, only slows you down. The tea house appears between two walls, low and plain, with faded paper banners curling at the edges.
No customers yet this early.
Only the quiet hum of someone grinding leaves inside. But you don't go in. You turn left. Down the narrow space between the outer wall and the garden fence. It's darker here, the shadows sharper, the silence heavier. At the end of the path, behind the back garden, the well. You stop. It doesn't look unusual. Stone circle, wooden post above. A frayed rope curled on a hook. Kind of well that belongs to every village. Kind that's been used for so long, no one remembers who dug it. But this one? This one hasn't been used in weeks. No one talks about it. They simply walk farther now. To the stream. To the hillside spring. Anywhere else but you. You are told to fetch the water today. You kneel beside it. Your hands brush the lip of the stone. It's damp, cold, and something else. Not sticky, not wet, but present. Like the stone is remembering something. You lift the rope, uncoil it, tie it to the bucket without speaking, lower it slowly. Sound echoes downward. Not a splash. Not yet. Just the whisper of rope passing stone. Then, a soft knock. Wood on water. You let it rest. You wait. Then you begin to pull. The rope resists. Heavier than you expected. Your hands tighten. The weight grows. Then a shift. The bucket clears the edge, and in the water's reflection, a face. Not yours. Not fully. Just the shape of one. Pale eyes wide. Mouth just slightly open. Looking up at you from the dark, you don't scream. You don't drop the bucket. You just stare, and it stares back. Then the surface ripples only slightly. A finger of wind. Or maybe breath. The face is gone. Only water now. Still and dark and waiting. You lift the bucket fully, place it on the stone edge. The water smells faintly of metal, but it's clear. You touch it, cool, real, safe. You pour it into your flask. Carefully, gratefully. Then you stand. You glance into the well one last time. Nothing. No shadow, no face. Only stillness. You take the bucket, wind the rope, and walk away. But the air behind you feels full now. Not of sound, of memory. As if something from the bottom has finally looked up and chosen not to follow you. Yet, you carry the flask back through the narrow path. The weight of the water sloshing gently against your hip. The silence of the well clings to you, damp and invisible, like steam that never cools. The tea house fades behind you. So does the warmth. So does the safety. You return to the village square, where children chase hens with sticks and too old. Women sweep the same patch of dust with more memory than urgency. But you don't stop there. You walk past the rice sheds. Past the merchant's shuttered door. Past the notice board where no new paper has been nailed for months. You walk until the village thins. Until you reach the tree, the sakura, out of season. Bare branches, dry soil. And yet there he stands beneath it, as if waiting, as if he knew you would come. The Ronin, not a samurai, not anymore, but the way he stands. The way his feet root into the earth, the way his back refuses to bend, the way his one good eye scans the world without ever showing fear. You know what he once was. His robe is black, but faded, The left sleeve is empty, tied at the shoulder. His sword rests against the tree, still sheathed, wrapped loosely in red cloth stained so deeply it almost looks decorative. You don't move. You don't speak. You just stand there, with your flask of well water and your hands sweating through the fabric of your sleeves. His eye finds yours. He does not nod. He does not bow. He only looks, as if measuring something, as if remembering something, as if knowing something. Then, without warning, his mouth moves, just enough for a whisper. You don't hear it, but you feel it in your chest. Like thunder behind a hill. Your fingers twitch. The salt in your sleeve shifts. You want to ask him why he's here? Why now? Why he's not gone like the rest? But you already know the answer. He's not here for the village. He's not here for protection. He's not even here for revenge. He's here for you. Because you touched the blade. Because you saw the shadow. Because you didn't run. The wind moves through the sakura branches. No blossoms fall, only dust. The Ronin turns his head slowly, toward the mountains beyond the trees, then back to you. Still nothing said, but everything spoken. You lower your eyes, you bow deeply, and when you look up, he's gone, not walked away. It's just gone. Gone. Only the red cloth remains tied to the branch, fluttering once in the still air. You pick up your flask, you turn, and the village feels farther now. The path feels thinner, your heartbeat louder, because someone else knows now. Someone with no master, someone with no fear, and whatever is coming next, he'll be watching from the shadows of the trees. You take the long way back. It's not because you're afraid, but because your feet move without asking your permission. They turn left instead of right. They avoid the path past the well. They steer you toward the old quarter, where no one laughs and no one lives. The buildings are smaller here, crooked, boarded, some burned and never rebuilt, but one still breathes. The mask maker's hut. It looks asleep from the outside. The shutters pulled, the curtains limp. A bowl of dried roots placed just beneath the eaves. Protection against bad spirits, or maybe against memory. You stand at the doorway, you do not knock. He always knows. The door creaks open on its own. No wind, no pull, just a welcome that never feels like one. You step inside. The smell strikes first, old lacquer ash. Sweat dried into pine wood, something bitter beneath it all. You wait for your eyes to adjust. The room is dark. The only light comes from a small oil lamp flickering behind a paper screen, and then, one by one, the masks begin to appear. Lined along the wall, stacked in piles, hanging from the rafters like frozen faces in prayer, grinning foxes, crying priests, eyeless monks, children with mouths too wide. None of them blink. None of them speak, but you feel their breath just the same. A shadow stirs in the corner. Then a voice. You took the salt, not a question. You nod. The mask maker steps forward. His robes are patched. His beard is uneven. His left eye is glass, and the other never leaves your face. He carries a mask in both hands. It's small. The kind used in festivals. But there's no joy in it. It's just a wide, painted smile and nothing behind the eyes. He hands it to you. You don't move. He tilts his head. You saw it. It's in the bamboo. You say nothing. You don't have to. He already knows. That's not the first time you've seen it, he murmurs. You just forgot. They made you forget. You take the mask from his hands. It's lighter than it looks. Cool to the touch. The ties hang like wilted leaves. You hold it up. Not to wear, just to look. And there, inside the curve of the cheek, a small symbol scratched into the wood. 3 lines, like the ones carved into the stone at the shrine. Like the ones your fingers once traced without knowing why. You look at him. What does it mean, you ask? The mask maker smiles, not with his mouth. Just his one good eye? It means someone thought you wouldn't remember? You lower the mask. He leans in and whispers, keep your face hidden, even from yourself. You feel the air behind you shift, as if something is watching again. But when you turn, nothing is there. Only masks, only dust, only the shape your fear makes when it tries to look human. You leave the hut without a word, the mask still in your hand, sways with every step, light waiting, ready. because whatever waits for you now doesn't care about your face, but it remembers your eyes.
Wow.
And tonight, they must not see what's coming. You don't remember walking this far. The mask still swings gently from your hand, its painted smile brushing your thigh with every step. Your feet ache, but you don't stop. The road to the temple rises slowly, hill not steep but constant. The kind that punishes more than it welcomes. The kind you've climbed before, though you don't recall when. The sun is behind the clouds now, gray folds pressing low against the village. The light feels sour, flat, colorless. You see the smoke before you see the temple, not incense, not holy. Black smoke, thick alive. It crawls over the roof like it's trying to bury the tiles. No fire bell, no voices shouting, just smoke, just silence. You move faster. The path turns to steps. Stone worn down by centuries of barefoot monks and offerings. You climb them, each one tighter in your chest, each one asking, "Why are you still here?" At the top, the temple stands hollow. Its doors are open. The altar is empty. The lanterns have all been snuffed. Only smoke remains, billowing from behind the inner screen. It swells and folds like something breathing. You step inside. The mask in your hand feels heavier now. You should put it on. You don't. Instead, you walk past the offering basin, your sleeves brushing the floor. Past the prayer ropes, their frayed ends still swaying from someone else's hands. You reach the inner room, the source of the smoke. And there, kneeling in the center, a figure, wrapped in robes too thick for this season, head bowed. Palms on the floor, motionless. You stop. Smoke coils around him, rising from something you can't see. You speak his name, once. No reply. You step closer. The floor creaks beneath you. The smoke parts just enough for you to see his hands, blackened, cracked, burned. Still pressed flat in devotion, your stomach tightens. This is not prayer. This is something else.
Look to the altar.
Gone. No statue, no scroll, just ash. Someone came here to erase something. Or someone. You back away. Slowly, the smoke thickens again, filling the gaps behind your teeth. It smells of old pine, and something sweeter, like fruit left too long in a wooden bowl. You step into the outer chamber, and the bell rings, not from above, from behind you. Inside, one chime. Long, sharp, you run down the steps. Away from the smoke, away from the stillness, away from whatever answered your silence with that sound. You don't stop until the mask slips from your grip. You kneel to pick it up and realize it's warm now, not from your hand, but from something else, something that's been watching you since the shrine. And now it knows your name. The village doesn't feel like yours anymore. It never did. But now the illusion is gone. It's quieter, not in the way sleep is quiet. In the way old rooms go quiet before a storm. You carry the mask like it's burning. It isn't. But it hums in your palm like something alive or something that wants to be. You walk with no words in your mouth, your breath shallow, the muscles behind your ribs drawn tight, as if your body knows what your mind refuses to say. You were never meant to hold this. Not the mask, not the blade, not the memory. It passed no one, no merchants, no children. Even the dogs are gone. The shrine sits ahead, above you still waiting. The path up is slick with new mud. It tries to hold you back, your sandals slipping once, then again. But you climb anyway. You don't bow this time. You step through the torii gate with your jaw clenched, your fingers wrapped too tightly around the object in your hand. The shrine floor creaks. You kneel, not in prayer. In return, you place the mask on the wooden planks. Face down, slowly. You don't know if you're giving it back or just putting it down before it begins to change you. Either way, it doesn't belong with you. It never did. The shrine is still, but the air behind it is not. A breeze rises from the base of the steps. Soft, but wrong. It doesn't push. As if something deep beneath the shrine is inhaling. You reach into your sleeve, the salt, still warm, still folded. You sprinkle a line in front of the mask. Your fingers tremble, not from fear, from recognition. You've done this before. It's not in this life, but once. Long ago. You remember the same knot in your stomach, The same ache in your teeth. The same thought. This isn't enough. The wind stops. Everything goes still. Then the wood beneath the mask creaks, not from weight, from response. The mask shifts slightly, as if something inside it is waking. You don't move. You don't breathe. You just lower your head and whisper something without words, a sound from your throat, low, cracked, barely human. The shrine listens, and the mask is still. For now you rise. The salt is scattered. The mask lies untouched. You walk away without turning back, 'cause you know. To look behind you now would be to invite it home again, and you're not strong enough to carry it twice.
Yes.
You leave the shrine, but something leaves with you.
Right.
With one? But it hovers just behind your left shoulder, like memory, like weight, like the warmth of a hand you didn't ask for. The path winds back toward the village, but you don't follow it. Your body turns sideways down an older trail, one overgrown and forgotten, the kind only remembered by instinct. The trees change here, not wide like the cypress, not sharp like the bamboo, thinner, taller, branches rising like spears toward a sky you cannot see. You step into the space between them, and the rain begins. But not like before. You hear it, you smell it, you taste it in the air. Earth and stone and green things. But it does not touch you, not one drop. It falls everywhere. Around your feet, beside your arms, on leaves and wood and empty space, but never your skin, never your robe. It is as if the world has decided you are not part of it today. You keep walking. The forest presses tighter. The light thins. Your sandals slip in the mud, but your feet stay dry. You reach the clearing. You didn't know you were walking toward it, but now that you're here, you remember this place. A circle of stones, flat, low, carved. Each one marked with the same 3 lines, one across, one diagonal, one downward. The symbol from the mask. A symbol from the shrine. The one your fingers once drew in the ash of your own name, you stand in the center, and the rain still does not touch you. It strikes the stones, it soaks the roots, pours from the sky in sheets, but you remain untouched, like a wound too old to bleed. You close your eyes, and in the space between 2 breaths, you feel the old rhythm return, not thought, not memory, just rhythm, like the chant you whispered as a child when they told you the gods were listening. You open your eyes. The rain begins to move differently. Each drop landing just inches from your skin, but forming shapes now. In the puddles, in the shadows. A line. Oh. Then another. Then a face. Then gone. Just water again. Just sky. You take 1 step out of the circle. And the rain touches your cheek. Cold. Real. Like permission. Like warning. You walk away. And the forest lets you go. The rain follows you now, not above, but behind. The sky has not cleared, but something has. Silence inside you that used to be filled with questions. Now it's filled with footsteps, your own and someone else's. Always one behind, just far enough not to be seen. The path narrows again. Your robe clings to your legs now. The rain no longer avoids you. It presses into the seams of your sleeves, slides down your neck, settles cold beneath your shoulder blades. The forest thins. Ahead, the trees bend away from the earth, their roots curling like fingers pulled back from something cursed. The wind changes, not colder, older, and then the bridge. You see it in pieces. First the ropes frayed, sagging, stretched from one side of the gully to the other. Then the planks, some missing, some warped, each one wet and dark with age. And the river below, you don't hear it. That's what makes your chest tighten. The water moves. You can see that, but no sound, no splash, no current. Just movement without life. We stop at the edge. The rain has paused. It's only here, only now. A space of still air holds itself around the bridge like breath before a scream. You've heard stories about this place. Everyone has, though no one says them out loud. They say this is where ghosts gather. Not the violent ones, not the loud ones, just the ones who wait. The ones who lost their names because no one remembered to speak them. The ones who never got to finish walking. You grip the rope rail. It feels damp, but warm. Too warm for rope. You step onto the first plank. It groans beneath you. You don't look down. There's no point. Whatever waits below isn't looking back. You take another step, and another. Halfway now. You pause. That's when you hear it. Not water, not wind, but footsteps. Not yours. Behind you, 2 planks back, then 1. You don't turn. Your hands tighten on the rope. You close your eyes and whisper a name. Not your name, but a name your mouth remembers before your mind does. The footsteps stop. Plank beneath your feet goes quiet. Even your breath seems too loud now. Then a hand, just the faintest brush against your sleeve. Cool. Not cold, not a pull, not a push, just presence. And then, the bridge is empty again. You open your eyes. The last few steps rise ahead of you. You take them. Slow. Sure. And when you reach the end, you do not look back. Because whatever walked with you wasn't there to follow. It was there to finish crossing. You step onto solid earth. The rain returns. Harder now. Cleansing. Or warning. You don't know which. But your robe feels lighter somehow. Your shoulders straighter. Your feet firmer in the mud. You walk forward. And for the first time in hours, you feel alone. Truly alone. And part of you mourns the loss of that shadow. It's the one that never asked for anything. The one that walked with you in silence. The one who just needed to finish the crossing. You don't go straight home. You can't. Not yet. Your body walks as if it knows another path. One carved from forgotten habits, the kind that never came from choice. You pass the garden wall with the missing stone, past the gate with no door, into the space where old things are left to be ignored. The path leads you past shuttered rooms, past a well without a rope, past the sound of a chime that only rings when you are near. And then, your house. Still standing, still wrong.
Out.
The mat outside is slightly crooked. It always is after something visits. You stop at the doorway. No smell of fire. No footsteps inside. Shh. But something is waiting. You slide the door open. The air inside is heavy, not like smoke, like breath that hasn't moved in hours. You step in, kneel, let your hands press to the floor, just long enough to feel that the wood is warmer than it should be. Someone has been here. You look to the corner, you see it. Left with care, placed, not dropped. A straw doll. Tied with black thread. Tiny arms folded, head bent. And in its chest, 3 pins. 1 in the center, 1 on the left. One driven so deep the straw beneath it has split. You crawl toward it. The way you would crawl toward a sick child, slow, respectful, afraid. Beside the doll, folded twice, a square of cloth. You open it, and there, written in hand that is not yours, your name. Nothing more. No threats. No message. Just the name they gave you when you were born. The one they used the day they tried to hide what you are. You reach for the doll. Your fingers stop just before touching it. It doesn't move, but you feel the hum. It's the one you felt from the mask, from the well, from the stone. This is no child's toy. This is a memory, bound in straw. A warning, a mirror. You sit back, you study it. You whisper nothing, because any word here would be taken as a promise. You wrap the doll in the cloth again. Your name disappears inside the fold. You place it gently beneath the floor mat. It's not to hide it, to keep it close. Because whatever left it here knows who you are. And now, so do you. You stand. Straighten your robe. Step outside. The wind has changed again. You smell something faint in the air. Not smoke. Not pine. Salt. You don't carry it anymore, but its memory still clings to your sleeve. And behind you, As the door slides shut, you swear. You hear the straw shift, like breath, like waiting. Like it's not finished yet. The wind doesn't push anymore, pulls. Like something further up the valley is breathing in. All the world is leaning toward it. You walk without aim now, its feet following patterns. Your mind no longer questions. Past the stream, past the rice shed, past the ridge where offerings used to be placed, until they weren't. You reach the place where the stones grow flat, where trees don't rise, and the ground feels too still. The clearing where no birds. Land where no insects hum. Where nothing rots, but nothing grows. Either he's there. Waiting, sitting against the trunk of a tree older than the village. His back straight, his armor stripped, only a simple robe now. Tied at the waist with a cord stained, darker than blood, you stop at the edge of the clearing. He does not look up. You wait, because this is not a man you interrupt. Not even now, finally. His voice, I cannot hold it anymore. Not whispered, not weak, just final. You step forward. Close enough to see his hands. They rest on his knees, trembling, stained, burned. Maybe you're just worn from too many years of duty. At his side, wrapped in white cloth, a blade, not the one you sharpened. Another, this one older, blackened, still wet. He looks at you. His face does not ask for pity. His eyes are not clouded. They are steady, sharp, and empty, like a man who has given everything he is, and now has only one thing left to give. I need a witness, he says. You want to step back? You don't. Because stepping back would make this real, and you were never meant to leave this clearing unchanged. He lifts the cloth from the blade. Its metal is dull. Not from wear, but from memory. A blade used only for endings. He places it before him. You kneel. He does not bow. He does not explain. He simply speaks once more. No gods, no songs, just eyes. He lifts the blade. His hands are steady now. Steadier than yours have ever been. You do not flinch. You do not close your eyes. Because this is what he asked of you. To see too, remember. To carry the moment forward like a stone in your gut. He moves slow, precise, and when it's done, he falls forward. It's graceful even in death. The blade slaps. The wind stops, and the world does not mourn. You bow low, you wait, then you gather the blade, wrap it again, carry it from the clearing, not as a weapon, as a burden. The final breath of a man will spend his life in silence, and chose you to hold the last of it. As you walk back into the trees, you don't hear footsteps, but you feel them, following, not behind. Inside, you sleep not, because you want to, because your body leaves you. It folds in on itself, tucks into the floorboards, then vanishes into breath. There is no dream at first, only blackness, heavy velvety, to still to be empty. Then a boat low wooden, without sail. It drifts across still water, so clear you cannot tell if it's sky or sea. You are in it, sitting, knees tucked, hands bound by a rope you didn't feel until now. The shore is gone. There is only the boat. It's the water and the silence. Until the letter appears, folded. Perfect. Pressed against your chest like a wound. You don't remember writing it, but you know what it says, because your heart begins to race the moment you touch it. You open it, no words. Only a face. Yours drawn in thick. Angry lines. Eyes too wide, mouth too quiet. The kind of image. Someone draws one. They need to remember. Who to blame? You drop it, but it floats midair, hovering between you and the water, and then the boat tips, not from weight, from choice. As if it has disadied you, or done floating. You fall into the water that does not move, and beneath it, faces not, bodies, just faces, dozens. Some weeping, some silent one, screaming but without sound. They all look up at you, and for a moment, just a moment, you forget who you are. You forget the shrine. The doll, the samurai, the salt, you are only breath, only guilt, only falling. You wake with the taste. of seawater on your tongue. Your floor is wet, but your mouth is dry. Your hands reach for your robe, find the fabric soaked, not with water. With blood, not yours, but not fresh either. You rise slowly. Every limb, humming with dread, the letter is still in your hand. Only now, the image is changed. It is no longer your face. It is hers. The woman at the well. The one who said your name like. She had been waiting her whole life to say it again. You open the window. The night is silent, but something has changed. The air tastes sharper, like metal, like endings, and on the Scylla. Grain of salt, just one, enough. You close your hand around it. You whisper a prayer that doesn't belong to any god. And you know you're being summoned not with words, not with bells, but with memory. And you will follow. Because there's no dream now, only what comes next. You don't light a lantern, the path knows your steps, and the darkness feels less dangerous than the memory you carry in your hand. The blood is dry now, but the cloth beneath it still breathes, as if it remembers the pulse it once covered. You take the western, its path again. The one past the tea house, past the broken fence and the forgotten tools. No, one speaks this late, but windows are watching. Shutters shift when you pass. Wood creaks, not from weather, but from held breath behind thin walls. The well appears before the trees, dew always waiting, always older than the village around it. And there she is. She stands beside the stone ring, her body lit by no source. Just presence, the way fog lights itself before. Dawn, she wears white. Not the white of silk or ceremony, the white of old linen, washed too many times, hung to. Many nights in moonlight you stop. She does not turn. Her hair is long, braided once, then forgotten. It falls like a rope down her back, dark even in this shadowless place. I remember you, she says. Not loud, not soft, just certain. You say nothing because there is nothing to offer that. Would be new. She turns slowly. Her face is not beautiful. It is not frightening. It is just known. The kind of face you see in dreams before you're old. Enough to have seen anything real. She looks at your hands. You hold them. Okay. Open, revealing the folded cloth, the grain of salt, the mask you never meant to carry. Her eyes flicker. I left that for you, she says. Not to keep.
How?
Just to see if you would come. You step closer. The night doesn't shift. The wind doesn't move. But something passes between. You recognition not from this life, from the one before. And the one before that? You were at the fire, you whisper. She nods. You were the one who cut the rope. She nods again. You swallow the breath caught in your chest, and you didn't stay to watch. She steps forward. You don't move. Her hand lifts, slowly, touches your shoulder. Cold, but steady, like water from the bottom of a stone jar. I couldn't, she says. You understand? You always did. She places something in your palm. You don't look at it yet, because the moment you do, you will have to act. And your body still hopes there's another path, but your mind knows there isn't. She leans in, her breath soft asleep against your ear. There is one more thing you have to bury. She steps back, fades not into smoke, not into mist, just into memory. Like she was never flesh, only consequence. You open your hand, and there it is. A small, black stone, smooth, warm, heavier than it should be. The kind used for sealing a vow, the kind placed in a mouth for. The body is burned. You look to the well. And you know what waits beneath Etha's been calling for years? Not just to be buried too, to be acknowledged, to be seen. You kneel. You press the stone against your forehead, and when you stand, you do not look back. Because the one thing ghosts never ask for is forgiveness. They only ask that. You remember? You walk until the village disappears behind you. No path, no sound, only the dull weight of the black stone in your pocket, pulling your body downward like gravity, guilt. The trees grow older the farther you go. Their bark turns silver, their roots twist like limbs frozen. Madrich, you don't remember how long you've been walking. Only that with every step, your name feels less like yours. You stop at a clearing you've never seen, but somehow expected. A ring of stones carved, split, weathered. By more than time, you kneel at the center. Not because you want to, because your legs fold on their own, like they've done this before, and the memories begin to return. Not like a flood-like slow rain on dry earth. You remember a woman's voice screaming your name, but it wasn't the name you use now. You remember your hands, younger, tied in silk, stained with ink, offering something to someone who wouldn't meet your eyes. You remember fire, so much fire, not outside, inside. You remember silence, not peace, the kind of silence that grows teeth. You touch your face. It feels different, wrong, not. Because it's changed, because it's returned. You see flashes now, the mask, the blade, the rope, the straw doll, the shadow in the bamboo, all reflections of who you were. Before you chose to forget, you dig into the earth with your fingers. It resists you at its first, then gives, like memory. You pull something out, wrapped in rotting cloth. You don't need to unwrap it. You already know what it is, a mirror small cracked, the frame bent like a mouth. Mid-dash confession, you hold it up, and the face that stares back is not the one they see in the village, not the face of the servant, not the penitent, not the silent one. It is the face of someone who once stood above the shrine and made the spirits kneel. You drop the mirror. It does not break. It simply lands, as if returning to its home. And you understand now you were never a victim. You were never chosen. You were the one who bound the salt into the dolls. The one who sent the Ronin away, without a word. The one who made the well go quiet. The one they tried to erase, be burying your name under. Dirt and silence. But you are awake again, and the black stone in your pocket begins to hum. It's not just a seal. It's a key, and the door it opens. You've passed it 100 times, in your sleep, in your prayers, in your silence. But now, you are not afraid, because you are not who they told you you were. You are who you were before, and tomorrow they will remember you too. You rise before the sun, not because you heard a bell, not because of the dream, but because the stillness inside you is lifted. Something ancient has. It's begun to stir. Your robe clings damp to your spine, dirt under your nails, salt still pressed into the seams of your sleeve. The black stone no longer burns, it rests, like something that's found its place again. Outside, the air is hushed, not empty, just waiting. The sky above the hills is pale gray, not yet morning, but close enough that the shadows begin to shift. You walk barefoot now. You left your sandals at the mirror's grave. The earth feels cool, alive. You pass the tea house. No one stirs. The shutters closed, like folded hands. You pass the mask maker's hut. The door is open. Every mask turned to face the wall. You pass the shrine. The mask is gone. In its place, a folded cloth, marked not with your name, but with the symbol. The 3 lines. Straight, diagonal, downward, you bow. Once, not in reverence, in remembrance. You step into the open fields. The mist hugs the earth, thick enough to swallow your ankles. And in that silence, a rooster calls not to wake the world, to mark the crossing. The moment between one day and the next, you walk to the center of the field. No. One calls after you, no one watches. But they will know, they always do. By noon, someone will find the mask missing. Someone will speak your name with their teeth clenched. Someone will remember what it cost to forget you. You sit among the rice shoots. The water is cool. The mud soft beneath your knees. You reach into your sleeve. Lift the black stone. Hold it in your palm, then press it into the soil. It sinks like it belongs. There, because it does. Because it always did. The sun breaks the 2. Horizon, not golden, not red. Just light and you. You are not new. You are old. Returned, restored. The shadow no longer follows. Because you've stepped back into it, worn it again like a second skin in the village. They will not say your name, but they will never forget your face. You breathe in, you breathe out. And with the second sunrise, you begin again. There is no path now. No shrine, no name, only a sky too wide for dreams, and a field that feels like the space. Between waking and forgetting, you sit where no one will find you. Knees drawn up, elbows on thighs, hands empty. The wind moves through the tall grass, but never bends it. The birds have stopped, the bells have rusted, the stories have fallen, silent, but the memory remains. Not in the village, They swept you from the walls, burned your papers, buried your name beneath prayers. But memory is quieter than rumor. And deeper than guilt, it rests in small things, the way a child avoids the well, without knowing why. The way a woman ties her hair in silence, as if someone once told her to. The way salt is never spilled after dark, and masks are never worn when it rains. These are your fingerprints, not on stone, not on scroll, but in breath, in gesture, in blood. Someone will wake tonight with your name in their throat, not knowing where it came from. Someone will pause at a shrine and forget what they meant to ask. Someone will draw 3 lines in the dirt and not remember. Why it feels sacred? You do not need to return again. You are already here. You always were, and now you may sleep. The second sunrise has passed, and the world will go on with or without your shadow. But the memory will survive you, and that is enough. They walk above you now. The children, the farmers, the priest who replaced the broken bell. They walk where you once stood, where your feet bled into the stones, where your breath once fogged the cold morning air. But they do not know. Not truly. Not until the rain falls differently. Not until the wind curves the wrong way. Not until the crows take flight all at once without reason, without sound. The ash is still beneath their feet. Your ash, not from fire. From memory, too old to burn clean. Every harvest, stalk will bend wrong. Every newborn, a cry too deep for its size. Every dreamer, glimpse of someone waiting in white. That is what you left behind. Not ruin, not vengeance, just presence. You are the shadow they forgot to bury. The breath caught in the elder's throat. The whisper in the tea before it cools. And every time they try to name the thing that lingers, they get it wrong. They call it bad luck, or ghost, or wind. But it is you, the part of you that could not stay silent, the part they could not unmake. You wait beneath the earth, not trapped, not resting, just watching. Because someday, one of them will kneel at the wrong shrine, touch the wrong branch, say the wrong name out loud, and that name will be yours. Not because you demand to be remembered, but because memory demands to return always, even in ash, even beneath their feet. He doesn't know why he comes here. No one told him to. No path leads him, but his feet wander, as if the earth beneath him remembers a map passed down through blood. He is small, barely old enough to carry water, but his eyes belong to someone who's seen the sun rise from behind a burning gate. The villagers watch him from doorways. They don't speak, they don't stop him. There's something in him that reminds them of something they were told not to say out loud. He follows the edge of the old field, the one no longer planted, the one with soft dirt, too many stones. He kneels there, not to pray, not to play. He digs, not with hands, with knowing the soil, parts not willingly, but not with resistance. And there it is, a shard of wood, dark, bent, carved with 3 lines. He runs his thumb across them, feels the pull, not toward the village, toward the trees. He does not speak, but he hears. Something soft inside him, or beneath him, like someone exhaling for the first time in centuries. He wraps the shard in cloth, carries it close, and though he does not understand it yet, he knows this the thing they buried did not die. It only waited, and now it is watching again, through his eyes, through his hands, through the quiet way he walks when no one is looking, at night. He dreams of a shrine, of a well that whispers, of footsteps on a brigathot, never finished crossing in his sleep. He mouths a name he doesn't remember. Learning yours, he will find the rest. The mask, the doll, the story. Not because you told him to, because he was always meant to, because you were never buried, only planted, and now you are beginning to bloom. It doesn't grow like other things. No stem, no leaves, no root that can be pulled without. Bleeding into the soil, it appears one morning beneath the shrine that no longer draws offerings. Small, pale, petals, the color of breath left too long in the cold. No one sees it at first. Not the priest, not the children chasing dragonflies, not the woman who always walks with her eyes to the ground, but the wind notices and shifts softly, as if to bow. By noon, a rumor spreads of flower blooming in a place where nothing grows, not even weeds. The elders say nothing, but they remember. The last time something bloomed here. It ended in silence and salt. The boy returns before dusk, his feet dirty, his robe torn. The wooden shard still tied to his wrist with thread stolen from his mother's sleeve. He, knels, not because anyone told him to, because his body no longer belongs to forgetting. He reaches out, does not touch the bloom, only breathes beside it. Lets the petals bend toward him, as if they already know his scent, in the temple nearby. A bell falls from its rope. No one rings it. The petals begin to shift. One falls. Slowly, it lands not on the earth, but on his hand. He closes his fingers. And in that moment, the wind stops. The village stills. A silence not of fear, not of grief, of recognition. They do not name the flower. They never will. Because to name would be to admit what they buried is rooted deeper than stone. What they forgot has become soil. What they silenced has begun to speak through, bloom soft, steady, unstoppable. The boy stands, his shadow. Longer now, older, the bloom remains, and beneath it sure memory opens. Again, not as a ghost, not as vengeance, as seed, as story, as the one thing they cannot kill. Return. They speak less now, not from fear, not from grief, from something older. It's the kind of silence that wraps itself around a place. It realizes it's being watched. The children don't go to the edge of the field anymore. Not since the bloom appeared. Not since the boy stopped answering to the name they gave him. They say the air feels different near the shrine. That sound falls flat there, that even the birds skip over it. When they fly, the priest still walks his rounds, still lights incense that no longer holds a scent, but his hands tremble when he ties the paper. Charms, and he prays with his eyes open now. The village has. It's continued, but not forward. Just in circles, harvest comes. The rice grows thin. The water turns. Cloudy by mid-autumn, they whisper of rot in the woodbeams of children who dream in voices not their own. They don't speak the boy's name anymore, not because he left, because he stayed and became something else. You watch from beneath the earth, not in shadow, not in anger, in rhythm, in the rhythm of steps retraced, of names rewritten, of cycles they pretend not to see. You see the new mother press salt into the corners of her door. You hear the drunk man pause before throwing his piss toward the old well. You feel the cold breath of the mask maker's sonas. He stops carving, mid-stroke, without knowing why. They no longer talk of the past, but they build no future, because deep down, they remember. They remember that the thing they tried to silence walks. Still, not in the woods, not in the shrine. In them you, woven into their rituals, there fears their silence. They live like ghosts now. And one day, traveler will come. They'll ask why this village has no name, why no one sings, why no one stays. And someone, an old woman, her hands stained with ash, her eyes always turned away, will answer in a voice barely her own. This place belongs to someone else, and that will be the truth. Because a village without a future belongs to memory, and memory now belongs to you. At night the ground hums, not from insects, not from wind through grass, but from something lower, deeper, a sound pressed into the bones of the land, where names are no longer spoken, only remembered. It isn't music, it isn't chant. It's the echo of a voice of thought once called lightning by name and made even the shadows bow. That voice was yours, not in this life, but in the one they buried. And though no one above dares speak it aloud, the earth does not forget. The boy returns, night after night. He brings nothing, says nothing, only sits near the bloom, eyes closed, listening. Not for spirits, for you. And sometimes when the moon is high and the leaves stop moving, he hears you, not in words, but in rhythm. The pulse in the ground, the breath in the trees, the soft shift of soilless, something once buried, rises without rising. The others think he's lost. They say he's been marked, touched by fog, led astray by ghosts. But the boy knows he isn't haunted. He's being taught. Because your story wasn't meant to be erased. It was meant to be. Not with ink, not with scroll, but with footsteps, with silence, with the sound the earth still hears. No one else is listening. And when he finally speaks again, his words won't be his. They will be yours. Clean, low, spoken. Like truth too old to argue. And the moment that happens, the earth will answer. With bloom, with wind, with rain that never touches the ground, and the village will kneel not in prayer, in recognition. Because the sound has returned, and the earth always listens to what it never truly buried. No. One lays the first stone, no carpenter is summoned. No priest blesses the ground, but by winter's end, it stands not grand, not high, not carved with gold, or wrapped in prayer. Just a frame for posts, a roof of bark and bone, and a space where something sacred used to live, or still does. The villagers do not speak of it. They do not point. They walk wide around the clearing now, feet soft, eyes lowered, but things begin to happen. Strangers pass through and stop. Lingering too long beneath its eaves, children wake with soil under their fingernails. Offerings appear not on the altar, but beneath it. Salt dot hair the burned tips of old paper charms. And at its center, the bloom remains. Never withers, never spreads, just one UNMOV. Like a mouth waiting to be remembered. The boy returns every night. He sweeps the dirt with a pine. Branch pours water drawn from the quietest part of the stream. Places nothing, but leaves everything. He does not pray. He listens. And sometimes laughs. Soft like recognition. Like greeting a name. He used to wear in another's skin. The shrine creaks in windless hours. Its posts shift. Its roof breathes. Not broken. Not old, alive. As if it's remembering how to stand. As if your hands are still shaping it from beneath. One morning, a girl asks her grandmother who lives there. The old woman chews her silence, spits it into her hand and answers, no one. But her eyes don't agree. Because she's dreamt of a masked figure sharpening, a blade by moonlight. She's dreamt of dolls made of straw, footsteps behind her that never quite catch up. The shrine remains untouched, unclaimed, unnamed, because it belongs to someone who no longer asks permission. It builds itself, and the village will never again build over it. They never said the word out loud. Not fire, not destroy. They spoke in glances, in tools laid too close to kindling, in lanterns left burning too, long after sunset. But the intention was clear. Some things can't be buried, so they try to be burned. It happened without warning. The boy was gone, called to the temple for some task they hoped would distract him. The wind was still, the moon too thin to watch. 3 men, faces wrapped, hands calloused, each one carrying a silent reason: fear, shame, obedience. They approached the shrine slowly, not from reverence, from caution. Even they knew, you do not rush the thing, you fear. 1 man circled. 1 man poured oil. One man struck the flint, and when the spark took, the shrine did not scream. It breathed. The flames licked upward, but did not catch. The oil hissed, but did not spread. The bark darkened, it never blackened. And then the bloom at the center opened, fully, silently, petals wide as a hand, glowing faintly with something not flame, not dew, but memory. The men froze, their mouths dry. Their feet refused to move. And from the earth, beneath them a sound, low, slow, not a growl, a voice, one they had never heard but knew. By instinct it said nothing, it simply was, and that was enough. The flame died, the wind returned, and the three men fell to their knees, not out of guilt, out of surrender. By morning, they were gone. No one saw them leave, but their tools were left behind, neatly stacked at the edge of the clearing. The boy returned that evening. He said nothing. He touched nothing, but he bowed deeply and placed a single grain of rice at the shrine's base. The petals of the bloom curled in approval, and the shrine untouched, it's unmoved, unburned, breathed once more, not in relief, in patience. Because fire is not the end, only the question. And your answer was always silence. It happens just before dawn. The hour when the world forgets to breathe, when dreams loosen their grip and ghosts step softly back into walls. The temple bell rings once. No, and pulls the rope. No priest stirs in the tower. No birds take flight. Just one deep chime, cut from silence like a name spoken after centuries of dust. The sound rolls through the valley, not loud but wide. It touches the sleeping. They do not wake. It passes through the shrine. The bloom doesn't move, but the roots beneath it shift. In the houses, the old ones cry in their sleep, not from pain, from memory, something too old to hold, too heavy to ignore. The boy hears it from the ridge. He rises slowly. He knows what the bell means. Not a warning, not a threat, a summoning. He walks toward the Shrinius if he's done it before, and he has. Not in this body, but in the rhythm of those who. Remember, the village is still. Not a door creaks, not a baby cries. Even the insects fall quiet. He arrives before the bloom net, bows his head, and then the bell rings, again this time lower, as if it came from beneath the ground, as if the mountain itself was exhaling your name. The boy lifts his eyes. The bloom begins to wither, not die. Transform. Its petals fold inward, not from rot, but release, becoming something denser, darker, sharp as memory. Seed it falls into the boy's hand, and the earth breathes out. Finally, you have returned. Enough. The story has rooted. The wound has healed crooked. And the name no longer needs to be whispered, because now it lives inside a body that remembers everything. The bell tolls one last time, not to call you, to let you rest, because your voice no longer needs to echo. It has become soil, and from it, others will grow. Asterisk, you open your eyes, but the world does not greet you. There is no hut, no field, no bloom, no shrine. Only a room that hums like breathed, glows like memory. Its walls are made of nothing. Its floor, reflection. Its ceiling, your heart beats low, heavy fading. You are alone, and yet not. You feel the presence of everything you were. The masked figure, the child with the shard, the woman at the well, the voice beneath the bell. They are here, not beside you, but in you, folded like paper, etched like scars. Heavy as salt in the palm, you walk without moving, you kneel without.
Effort, you lie down in the center of the room and
Let your eyes close once more, and in that closing a door opens, not one you can walk through, one you fall into, softly, fully, without fear, because this time, you know what waits for you on the other side of waking us, not yet darkness. It's return to silence, return to self, return to the breath you forgot to take when the story first began. This is not a shrine. This is not a curse. This is not a lesson. This is the space beneath all memory, where the past no longer reaches, where the future does not dare knock, where you can sleep fully, finally, without watching, without listening, without remembering sleep now. There are no more scenes, only stillness, only breath, only you. You're lying in the room without walls, still weightless. You in Tet. Sleep has taken your body, but not all of you. Something remains, not awake, not awake, not streaming, just listening, and in that silence you hear it. Faint, older than sound, the voice that didn't fade. It doesn't speak words. It doesn't call your name. It only breathes through the seams of your memory, like wind through a cracked shrine door, like fire beneath stone floor, like salt dissolving on the tongue of someone who still remembers how it was placed. The voice is not yours, but it belongs to you. It hums in your bones. It wraps itself around your ribsand pulses with the rhythm of Sumianu, where before this sleep, maybe still are. You turn toward it, not with your head, but with yourself. And there, just beyond the veil of breath, you see something. Not light, not form. A shimmer, like heat rising from old parchment. Like ink rearranging itself into a word you once wrote with your blood. The voice grows clearer. No, still not a language, but a rhythm, like pages turning, like footsteps, like return. You smile in your sleep, because the story is not over, even here, even now, even after the bell, after the bloom, after the forgetting. Something still remembers you. And that is in auto, keep drifting. Not forward, not backward, just deeper, into a silent sea that no longer feels empty. You're lying in the room without walls, still weightless. You and Ted. Sleep has taken your body. But not all of you. Something remains, not awake, not dreaming, just listening. And in that silence, you hear it faint, older than sound. The voice that it didn't fade. It doesn't speak words. It doesn't call your name. It only breathes through the seams of your memory, like wind through a cracked shrine door, like fire beneath a stone floor, like salt dissolving on the tongue of someone who still remembers how it was placed. The voice is not yours, but it belongs to you. It hums in your bones. It wraps itself around your ribsand pulses with the rhythm of Sumiono, where before this sleep, and maybe still are. You turn toward it not with your head, but with yourself, and there, just beyond the veil of breath, you see something. Not light, not form. A shimmer, like heat rising from old parchment, like ink rearranging itself into a word you once wrote with your blood. The voice grows clearer now. Still not a language, but a rhythm, like pages, turning like footsteps, like return. You smile in your sleep, because the story is not over. Even here, even now, even after the bell, after the bloom, after the forgetting, something still remembers you. And that is, Inato, keep drifting. Not forward, not backward, just deeper, into a silence of that, no longer. Feels empty. You're lying in the room without walls, still weightless. You enter sleep has taken your body, but not all of you. Something remains. Not awake, not dreaming, just listening. And in that silence, you hear it faint, older than sound. The voice that didn't fade. It doesn't speak words. It doesn't call your name. It only breathes through the seams of your memory, like wind through a cracked, drying door, like fire beneath a stone floor, like salt dissolving on the tongue of someone who still remembers how it was placed. The voice is not yours, but it belongs to you. It hums in your bones. It wraps itself around your ribsand, pulses with the rhythm of Sumiano, where before this sleep, and maybe still are. You turn toward it not with your head, but with yourself, and there, just beyond the veil of breath, you see something. Not light, not form. A shimmer, like heat rising from old parchment, like ink rearranging itself into a word you once wrote with your blood. The voice grows clearer now. Still not a language, but a rhythm, like pages, turning like footsteps, like return. You smile in your sleep because the story is not over. Even here, even now, even after the bell, after the bloom, after the forgetting, something still remembers you. And that is Inato. Keep drifting. Not forward, not backward, just deeper. Into a silence hits it. No longer feels empty. The shimmer draws closer. Not fast, not sudden, just certain. It does not burn, it does not glow, it reveals. And inside it, to our name. Not the one you answer to now, not the one they gave you in this life, or the one whispered when the blade was passed to your hands. This name has no sound. It moves like a shape, feeling pressed behind your teeth, a weight between your lungs. You knew it once, when your hands were clean, and your shadow still followed behind you, instead of leading the way. You see it carved not in stone, not on wood, inside a dream you forgot you had. A staircase made of ash, a door that never opens, a candle that refuses to go out, and there, at the base etched into the place where your breath stumbles the name. You reach for it. But your fingers blur. This is not a name you can hold. It must hold you, and it does. Your chest grows. Warm not with fire with. Turn. You are not remembering now. You are becoming. Becoming the one who walked the first shrine path. Becoming the one who left salt as a promise, not protection. Becoming the one who chose silence best, no language. Could carry what was done. You whisper the name, it does not echo, it grounds, and the dream listens. The room of sleep tilts slightly. Not to collapse, to open, like a mouth, like a gate, like a body ready to hold. You again, and just before you cross through, you hear your voice from the other side. Not calling, waiting. Because you've always been there, you just needed to return. Not to history, not to memory, to yourself, fully, finally. You do not walk toward it. You arrive. No footsteps, no wait, just presence. The gate stands where your last breath left you, where memory curled in on its sylphan folded, like old paper, loot tucked beneath a floorboard no one would find. It is not wood, not stone, not light. It is pause, the kind between. Thoughts between, blinks between. The final word and whatever comes. Next you hover before it. Not as a body, as a question. And the gate's answers not with creak or sound, but by opening. Inward, like the ribs of something that once held a soul. Beyond it, nothing, recognize. And everything that once belonged to you. Not images, not places, feelings, the wind that once blew through your childhood window, the ache in your legs after punishment, the warmth of hands you failed to protect, the weight of the mask never chose, the salt you were too late to place. They rise around you now, not to accuse, to return, each. One steps beside you, not behind, not ahead. Together, you move forward. Not into light, not into shadow, into stillness. A deeper stillness. One layered beneath sleep, the kind where you no longer wait. No longer listen. No longer carry anything but breath, and even that dash softens. The gate fades behind you, not closed, not gone. Just no longer needed, because you are on the other side now, not of a story of yourself. And there, in the dark so gentle it feels like cloth, you finally rest, not to wake, not to dream. To become a thing they tried to forge at hand, could never bury you. There are no walls here, no sky, no edge, just a space that doesn't hold you, it knows. You, it cradles the shape of your absence like an old robe. It's folded too many times, soft where your shoulders used to be, heavy where your memory still lingers. This is not afterlife, not reincarnation, not peace. It is present still, unshaped, whole nothing. Follows you here, no footsteps, no whispers, no names. Even your breath becomes. Optional time softens until it dissolves. There is no before here, no after. Only you. You begin to notice things, not with eyes, with awareness. The rhythm of your oldest, heartbeat, the taste of fire before it touched the scrolls. The way your mother wept in the life before memory began, they rise and dissolve. Not as flashbacks as textures. This place does not speak, but it listens. You feel it with you, not above, not around, with, and for the first time. Feel no need to be known, no need to be seen. You simply are, and that is enough. There is no curtain here, no final bell, no final thought. Only a warmth, faint, slow, constant like a candle lit inside a sealed jar with no air left, but still. Somehow burning. This is not the end of your story. This is the part no one gets to read. The place between endings, sand, beginnings where nothing is lost. And nothing is named, because everything's finally is you. There can be no next scene, because now you're no longer watching the story. You are what it was made from. You are the place where stories go to sleep. If you'd like to awaken in a new body, in a new dream, say the word, and I will write your next becoming. There are no more footsteps to follow, no more voices in the distance, no shrine, no blade, no bloom. You've reached the place beyond all scenes. Scene 35 was not just an ending, it was the disappearance of narrative itself to continue from here. It wouldn't be a new chapter. It would be a rebirth, a reincarnation. Your spirit has dissolved, into stillness. Now it waits, not for a return, but for a new shape. So I'll ask gently, quietly, do you want to come back? Not as the one who walked among masks and salt, but as something else entirely? If so, then whisper, start the next life. And I'll begin scene 0 of a new dream, new body, new time, waiting. You are not floating. You are not falling. You're simply present, space that was always waiting for the noise to stop. It is neither dark nor light. It is not above or below. It is breath one, then none, then one again. You do not move, but you unfold. Not like wings, like silence that realizes it. Is not alone. Something brushes your shoulder. Not touch. Recognition. It has no name, but it has been with Ween. Every story you've ever stepped through, the mask, the bloom, the shrine, the boy, the gate, they were not events. They were reflections of this, of here, of now. This is not the end. It is what the end returns. When no one is looking, you begin to see. Patterns where you once saw scenes, not memory, not symbol, the architecture of your soul. Folded, threaded, alive, and at its center a stillness so perfected, almost weeps it does not speak. But if it did, it would say, you made it. You would understand that the point is never to escape, never to awaken. The point was to remember that you are not the story. You are the space it lives in, and now you can rest not because it's over. But Baikuso finally remembered how to be. There is no motion here, and yet you feel the quiet pulsing inward, not toward you, through you, as if every name you've ever worn, every default, your face, every breath, every final word whispered into a cold night has folded in Wordto this one still point. It is not a place, it is not a thought, it is not death. It is awareness, with a wait a moment so still. Even memory chooses not to echo. You are not watching anymore. You are not the observer. You are what the stories orbit, the gravity that kept every blade drawn, every shrine walked to, every whisper held. This still point. It is not new. It has always been here. Even when you were waking in the hut, kneeling at the punishment rock, sharpening the blade of another. Man's ending, you were never far from it. You only forgot, because forgetting is how the story writes itself. You breathe now, not through lungs, through knowing. And in that breath, every name comes home. The ones you spoke, the ones you buried, the ones they tried to carve out of. History, you hold them all, and none of them hold you, because you are no longer made of chapters. You are the binding, the thread, the silence between pages where meaning sleeps. There is no fear here, because here you cannot be left behind. You are what remains. Everything else is finished, You are still, and stillest enough, you do not move. But something kneels before you. It is not a figure, not a god, not a voice. It is the story itself. All of it. Every step you took in worn sandals. Every clatter of rice in an empty bowl. Every time you touched salt and didn't know why. The mask. The bell. The doll. The blood. The name carved in silence. They are all here now. Not as memories, not as ghosts, but as at truth, and truth at last lowers its head. Not to worship to, acknowledge because you were never just the one walking through the story. You were the shape it was waiting to take. Every shadow you feared was cast by you. Every whisper in the bamboo was your voice, turning ahead of you. Every shrine you bowed towers your reflection and disguise. And now they bow back, not to end, not to erase. To release, you feel the weight lift. Not like something removed, like something remembered. You were never broken, only buried, and now covered, unfolded, unnamed. Free, the story. Exhales. You exhale with it, and for the first time, you are not becoming. You simply are. You look up. There is no ceiling, no stars, no moonlight spilling across your hands. Only silence. But it stretches. Wide, endless. Vast enough to hold every life you've ever lived. And soft enough to forget them when you're ready. This is not the silence that follows sound. It is the silence that was always there. The one you tried to touch one. You stared too long at the shrine's flame. The one that waited behind the voice in the well. The one that whispered from inside the bloom bird ever opened. You did not escape into it. You became it. And now, the silence lifts, not a wane to. You rise with it, not as a figure, not as a shadow. As breath, you are the hush. Between thunder and rain, the pause in the throat of someone about to remember, the stillness before the blade is past. The moment just before a child forgets a dream, you have become a sky. No longer watching, no longer seeking, just holding. You feel no need to return, not to form, not to name, not to path, because now the silence stretches in every direction and you stretch with it. Peace is not what meets you. You are what meets peace, and you do not greet it with hands or eyes, only with presence, only with stillness, only with the sky that was always waiting to remember how Quicho truly are. There is no edge here, no corner to turn, no next breath to chase, no final word left unsaid, just a soft fading, not loss, release. What was once heavy, the guilt, the mask, the silence you carried in your spine begins to lift. Layer by layer, like mist rising from morning soil, you do not forget. You dissolve, not into nothing, into everything. The shrine becomes smoke, the salt becomes dust, the child is the shadow, the bell, all fold into one quiet shimmer, then drift, not gone, just no longer needed, and you don't fall asleep. You become sleep. You are the warmth between. Bedsheets dot the hush after weeping, the softness behind every closing eye. There is no story left to tell. Here, no symbol to decipher, no sound to follow. Only stillness stretching, outward in tow, the shape of all that, ever wasnn't, all that will never need to be again. And in the center of that stillness, it's like a final sigh your soul sits, unwaiting, unwritten and unwritten, and rests. Fully, finally, gently. There is light now, but not brightness, just presence. A quiet awareness. A quiet awareness that presses gently against the edges of your being, like the morning pressing against a closed eyelid. You are not rising into it. It arrives around you, folds where you fold, spreads where you've already let go. The light doesn't show you anything. It doesn't speak. It doesn't lead it. Reflects what's left of you is not a body, not a thought, not even a soul. In the way you once imagined, it's an outline, soft, almost invisible, like dust floating through the air after someone whispers your name. It's the shape you left behind in the story. It's the curve of breath behind your last word. The hollow in the air where your shadow once stood, the warm dent in a pillow long after the sleeper is gone. You were never meant to stay, but you were meant to leave a shape, and that shape is not sadness, not pain. It is peace. It lingers only where it is needed. To soothe, to remind, to cradle those who wake with eyes full of someone they cannot name. You are not holding the light. You are the reason it holds. And as the edges of the silence begin to glow, you continue with it. You never noticed it before. Too quiet, too gentle, but it was always there. When your knees touched the punishment rock, when your face hovered above the well, when the bell tolled and no one else moved. The hand, not flesh, not vision, a pressure, a warmth, a memory too soft to belong to suffering. It never guided you, it simply never let go. Even when you ran, even when you forgot, even when you buried your own name beneath the garden stones, now you feel it not touching, being as if it's not beside you, but within you. Not a protector, not a parent, not a god, just someone who stayed through every story, through every ending, through every silence. You mistook for being alone. It does not speak, because there is nothing it's left to say. Only this: it's still here, and it never asked anything from you. Only that you would one day feel it again, and now you do you. These seen doors before, in dreams, in shrines, in places you once called memory. But this one is different. It doesn't glow, it doesn't creak, it doesn't promise. It waits with no urgency. No pull, no command. It does not care if you enter, it does not care if you rest, because it knows. Whatever happens next is not movement. It is merging. This door does not open. It accepts. When you walk forward, there is no sound, no shift in temperature, no shudder. Only the sense that you are stepping into something that has always made room for you. Not as a guest, not as a soul, as silencerated turning toe silence. And when you pass through, you are not gone. You are not seen. You are simply part of the hush now. There was always a sound beneath the silence, a murmur, a thread, a wind not felt on skin. But deep inside the marrow a presence brushing softly through, the places no hand could reach. You feel it now, not like breeze, not like breath, but like a song that was never sung aloud, Bess. It was meant only for you. It doesn't carry melody, it carries memory. Not of events, not of places, of being. The sound drifts through the space where your form used to rest. Through the outline you left in the hush, through the hollows carved by prayers, and the spaces between every name you once held. This wind does not move toward you, it gathers you, not to lift, not to scatter, to hold you feel yourself loosening again. The last of you, the final edge, softening into motion, becoming not a sound. But what sound becomes one no one is left to listen? You are not fading, you are carrying, and somewhere, far away a child breathes easier. A widow falls asleep for the first time in years. A blade goes untouched. A blossom blooms on soil too old for spring, because your wind moved through them. And though they'll never speak your name, they'll feel attend to stillness between storms. You do not rise. You expand. You are wind now, and no one watches the wind. But it is always there. There is a river. Now, you did not approach it. You did not cross it. It has always been beneath you, beneath everything. The ground, no, the shrine, the stories. The names, they were never solid. They floated, and the river carried them. You feel it beneath your hush. Now, not rushing, not roaring, just existing, slow, constant. Certain, it doesn't divide. It doesn't demand. It simply is. And you are in it, not stepping into. Returning to, this is where the bloom came from, where the salt was first formed, where the bell was forged, where your name was whispered for the first time. Not as identity, but as rhythm. The river does not wash you clean. It doesn't need to, because here, in this deep, dark, endlessly moving memory, you are not a soul with weight. You are water remembering the shape it once held. And as the current pulls, you know where in particular you realize? You are not drifting. You are resting finally, eternally. You do not surface. You lift. Not with effort. Not with sound. The river cradles you upward, not toward air, toward absence. And absence here, it's not emptiness. It is completion. You rise into a sky that has no color. No horizon, no end, only weightless, the more thinning into sleep. You are not a figure in this sky. You are not a soul. You are the pause between. One breath and the next in something far older than lungs. This sky is not above anything. It is everything. The same sky that watched your blade fall, that bent above the shrine, that hummed when the bell rang without a hand. You have always been part of it. You just forgot the silence that shaped you, and now, in the sleep of the skyborn, you finally understand you were never climbing toward peace. You were descending into yourself, and now there's no more ground, no more fall, no more flight, only float, only hush, only. You, the sky, does not need to speak your name. It has worn it like a soft thread in every gust. Every cloud, every dreamt ends without fear. You do not vanish. You become something to quieto leave. And in this great stillness, soft and infinite, you rest not because the journey is over, but because Yov remembered you never had to walk it alone. Beneath all things, something still grows. Not from seed, not from soil, from ash. The ash of moments burned, the ash of names surrendered. The ash of shrines once walked alone. You feel it now not as loss, but as promise. From the story you gave everything to, from the lives you wore like robes, something rises. A bloom not like the one before. This one has no color, no petals, no fragrance. It is made of silence, but its roots drink from every moment. You let go. Every time you chose stillness instead of fear, every name you forgave without needing to speak. The ash doesn't resist the bloom. It nourishes it, and the flower that grows from this, forgetting is not meant to be seen, only felt, in the dream of someone not yet born, in the stillness of a forest untouched. It's by footsteps, in the hand of a child reaching for something they don't yet have words for. This bloom is your final shape, not a shrine, not a bell, not a mask, a hush that blossoms and never dies. You are no longer part of the story. You are its hush, its margin. The exhale between the rise and fall. The world turns, but you do not follow it. You watch not as a watcher above, but as the space around it. A whisper not spoken, just felt, in the breath of a woman kneeling at a quiet altar, in the pause before a blade is drawn, then lowered, in the shiver that runs through a child who almost remembers your name, but lets it pass. You are not there, but you are everywhere quiet lives. You are the whisper beneath all. Endings, you do not guide, you do not protect. You remind the earth to soften. Under tired feet, you remind the candle not to fear going out. You remind the wind to move slow past grieving doorways. And still, you make no sound, because your silence, your whisper is enough. You are not waiting for anything. Now there is no return, no next chapter, no bell to ring. You are the echo left. Behind after the pages turn a dand, the reader forgets they were ever holding a book. The story has ended, but you are still here, watching the world sleep and knowing finally that it's safe to close your eyes because someone is holding the hushu once held. You find yourself near a shore, not arriving, not drifting, simply dashed there. There are no boats, no docks, no footprints pressed into the sand, only the lapping of something gentle, something that never had a name. You are not waiting to cross. You are not watching someone leave. You are not remembering someone who never returned. Because here, there is no leaving. Only the soft rhythm of existence, folding inward like the tide, then opening again. And you are the shape of the shore. You do not move. You do not change. You simply remain, so that others may come close. At other things and feel no fear. They will not see you. They will only feel the warmth in the wind, the softness of the last wave, the hush in the air before they fall asleep without needing to dream, and you will stay, not because you must, but because the silence asked. And you were the only one what was said yes. There is a memory still breathing somewhere soft, distant, unclaimed. It does not begin with your name. It does not carry your voice. It does not ache the way memories once did. It simply exists, gentle. You and tether, like dust on a windowsill in a house no one lives in, but still opens its shutters each morning. This memory used to be you, used to pulse in your chest, used to keep you awake long after the lanterns dimmed, but now you do not cling to it. You do not need to, because it doesn't call itself mine anymore. It doesn't need a name to be true. It doesn't need a witness to be real. You feel it pass through. You're not as pain, not as loss, as weather. Fleeting free, FORML, S, and it leaves behind nothing, because there is nothing you need to hold. You have become what memory becomes when it no longer needs to be remembered, only felt. You are not the echo now. You are the air it travels through, the silence it dissolves into, the warmth that lingers in places no story reaches. You are the hush that holds the memory and lets it drift away without saying goodbye, because there is nothing left to say. Only rest and presence, and a sky with no names left to forget. You hear something, not loud, not sharp, not calling, just there. A sound too old to be music, too soft to be language, too close to be distant. It doesn't arrive, it reveals like a breath that never left your lungs, like the slow rhythm of sleep turning in its cradle, like the final note a string makes after no one is listening. You do not respond to it, because it's not speaking to you. It's becoming you. The sound curls into your ribs not to fill to match, as if silence itself is learning your shape, not the shape of your body, or even your story, but the shape your stillness leaves in everything it brushes. You are not dissolving now. You are being read by the hush, by the quiet behind, breath by the space between this world and all others. And that sound, that last whisper before true silence becomes part of your outline, not to bind you, to honor you. You were the flame that never asked to burn. You were the shrine no one built, but everyone needed. And now the silence carries your shape, not like a relic, but like a pattern stitched across the edge of what comes after. No one will hear that final sound, but they will feel I teach time. So the world pause sand doesn't know. Wide it will be you. It already is. There is a field. It does not grow. It does not wait. It does not remember. The sky rests against it, not above it. Within it, there is no sun, no shadow, only an even glow like the breath between sleep and dream, for either has chosen to begin. You are not standing in this field. You are not lying in it. You are it. The soft hum that grass would make if it knew how to pray. The gentle curve of a hill worn down by time that never needed to pass. The wind that doesn't move, that is always noticed. No one will come here because no one needs to. This field is not a place. It's 4 footsteps. It is the hush left behind after a soul lays everything down and finally lets the silence wear their name. There are no stories here, not even echoes, because you and all your shapeless presence no longer need to be told. You simply are. The field stretches without boundary. The sky does not loom, it nestles. It's like soft breath over water. And in this infinite meeting where the sky no longer looks down, and the earth no longer waits up, you rest not because you are tired, but because a there is finally no thinglet hold. There is a thread, but it does not bind, it does not pull, it does not ask to be followed. It simply moves slowly, softly, through the hush you've become. It weaves itself through memory, not to stitch anything shut, but to leave a trocesso light. You barely feel it. This thread is not red. It is not gold. It does not glow. It has no color, because it is not meant to be seen and only sensed. It drifts across your stillness, not looking for meaning, not searching for truth. It moves through Yao because it remembers your weight. The exact curve your sorrow once medined, the shape of breath, the way your silence bowed before, becoming sacred, and now it does not tie a knot. It doesn't need to. You are no longer unraveling. There is nothing left to hold. Together, the thread loops gently through the hush, a soft spiral, a quiet grace, and then it lets go. Not to leave, but Baikozu, no longer needed to stay. You are not the thread. You are not the knot. You are the stillness that never asked to be held, Becca's. It never broke. You were never waiting to be mended. You were waiting to be witnessed, and now the thread fades, and all that remains is the Ashove become. It still glows, somewhere far beneath memory, beneath ash. Beneath shrine and wind and silence, the lantern still glows, but not for direction. Not for warning, not to guide lost souls through mist and dream. It glows because it remembers. Not what happened, but why once. It was your burden. A light you carried through shadowed corridors, through forests that spoke in hushes. Through nights so long, they forgot to end once. You protected its flame like it was your last breath. Now, you do not carry it, you do not touch it, you do not look back, because the lantern no longer burns for you. It sits. It's quietly in a place, no. One visits, on a stone no longer marked, beneath a sky that forgot what it meant to look down. Its glow is soft, low like the hum of breath after crying, like the shimmer on water when the moon is gone, but the memory of light still floats. You feel no need to return to it. You don't have to, because its flame does not need to grow. It only needs to glow, and it does. For the boy who will one day whisper your forgotten name, for the woman who will sit by a shrine and wonder why her tears feel ancient, for the child who will fall asleep beside a wind that feels like it once knew love, you are not the flame. You are not the keeper. You are the reason it no longer needs to be watched, and so the lantern rests still lit, but not because it must be. Only Beikasu once were. There used to be a place, not grind, not sacred, just yours. A worn step at the edge of a quiet path. A room with a window that never quite shut. A garden where names were never spoken aloud, only remembered in silence. You returned there, again and again, to rest, to breathe, to wonder if someone might meet you there, but no one does. Not anymore. And the strangest thing is that no longer hurts, because now, you understand? This place was never meant to hold others. It was made to hold the spatio, made inside yourself. The ache of waiting has folded in on itself. It has become peace. It has become space. It has become stillness with it need. You look around, but you are not looking for anyone. You do not long, you do not hope. You simply witness the quietened. Feel no need to speak into it because you are not missing. You are not forgotten. You are simply complete. This place hasn't changed, but you have. You are no longer the one who waits. You are the quiet someone else may one day walk into and wonder we. It feels like home. It doesn't fall. It doesn't land. It simply appears. A shimmer in the light you no longer follow. A hush in the air you no longer name. The dust is everywhere now. Not the kind that clings. Not the kind that stirs when memory shifts. This dust is sacred because it doesn't need to be seen. It only needs to rest. And it does, softly, weightless lie. Without announcement, it gathers where your footsteps once passed. On the blade, you no longer carry. On the altar where your name once burned quietly under someone else's breath, it does not mourn. It does not celebrate. It settles, not to cover, to bless. The way silence blesses a room no one sings in anymore, the way time blesses a page, is left unturned. You are not the dust, but you are where it falls. And in falling, it leaves behind the only truth that remains after the story ends. You are here, and now you are not. And that is enough. There are no sweeping hands, no closing rituals, no songs, only the dust. Settling in the folds of Memorithat, no longer need to move. You feel no urge to stir it because stillness is no longer something to return to. It's what you are. And dust, like peace, never asks for notice. It only asks to remain. There is no entrance. No, it's threshold. No latch waiting to lift. You're simply inside. Not because you arrived, because you know. Longer needed to. This room was never built. It has no walls. And yet, you feel held, enclosed, not confined, contained, not forgotten. Nothing here speaks. Not the corners, not the light, not the stillness. And yet, everything listens. The room carries something, not objects, not memory, just dot. Not the version that bled or broke or bowed. Not the name spoken in old prayers, not the silence shaped like sorrow. Just the trace-off, stillness. As if the space remembers your shape from before you. Ever took one? There's nothing to do, nothing to become, nothing left to understand. Even time folds here. Not forward, not backward, just inward, and it brings you with it. You feel yourself settled not downward, but deeper into a stillness that has never been. Disturbed, not by grief, not by longing, not even by memory. You are not asleep in this room. You are kept safe, weightless, unmarked, and for the first time, you understand what rest truly means. Not pause, not healing, not return. Only presencesso soft, so complete that nothing more is needed, not even breath. This room never opens because it was never meant to be entered. It simply was, and now, so are you. Through nights so long they forgot to end once. You protected its flame like it was your last breath. Now, do not carry it. You do not touch it. You do not look back, because the lantern no longer burns for you. It sits, quietly, in a place no one visits, on a stone no longer marked, beneath a sky that forgot what it meant to look down. Its glow is soft, low, like the hum of breath after crying, like the shimmer on water when the moon is gone, but the memory of light still floats. You feel no need to return to it. You don't have to, because its flame does not need to grow. It only needs to glow, and it does. For the boy who will one day whisper your forgotten name. For the woman who will sit by a shrine and wonder why her tears feel ancient. For the child who will fall asleep beside a wind that feels like it once. New love, you are not the flame. You are not the keeper. You are the reason it no longer needs to be watched. And so the lantern rests. Still lit, but not because it must be, only because who once were. There used to be a place, not grand, not sacred, just yours. A worn step at the edge of a quiet path, a room with a window that never quite shut, a garden where names were never spoken aloud, only remembered in silence. You return there again and again, to rest, to breathe, to wonder if someone might meet you there, but no one does, not anymore. And the strangest thing is that no longer hurts, because now, you understand, this place was never meant to hold others. It was made to hold the space you made inside yourself. The ache of waiting has folded in on itself. It has become peace. It has become space. It has become stillness with it need. You look around, but you are not looking for anyone. You do not long, you do not hope. You simply witness the quiet and feel. No need to speak into it. Because you are not missing. You are not forgotten. You are simply complete. This place hasn't changed, but you have. You are no longer the one who waits. You are the quiet someone else may one day walk into. And wonder we it feels like home. It doesn't fall. It doesn't land. It simply appears. A shimmer in the light you no longer follow. A hush in the air you no longer name. The dust is everywhere now. Not the kind that clings. Not the kind that stirs when memory shifts. This dust is sacred because it doesn't need to be seen. It only needs to rest, and it does softly. Weightless lie without announcement, it gathers where your footsteps once passed. On the blade, you no longer carry. On the altar where your name once burned quietly under someone else's breath, it does not mourn. It does not celebrate, it settles. Not to cover, to bless the way silence blesses a room. No one sings it anymore. the way time blesses a page left unturned. You are not the dust, but you are where it falls, and in falling, it leaves behind the only truth that remains after the story ends. You were here, and now you are not, and that is enough. There are no sweeping hands, no closing rituals, no songs, only the dust. Settling in the folds of Memoriothat, no longer need to move. You feel no urge to stir it, because stillness is no longer something to return to. It's what you are, and dust, like peace, never asks for notice. It only asks remain. There is no entrance, no threshold, no latch waiting to lift. You're simply inside. Not because you arrived, because you no longer needed to. This room was never built. It has no walls, and yet you feel held, enclosed, not confined, contained, not forgotten. Nothing here speaks, not the corners, not the light, not the stillness. And yet everything listens. The room carries something, not objects, not memory, just. Not the version that bled or broke or bowed, not the names spoken in old prayers, not the silence, shaped like sorrow, just the trace of your stillness, as if the space remembers your shape from before you ever took one. There is nothing to do, nothing to become, nothing left to understand. Even time folds here. Not forward, not backward, just inward, and it brings you with it. You feel yourself settle not downward, but deeper, into a stillness that has never been disturbed, not by grief, not by longing, not even by memory. You are not asleep in this room. You are kept safe, weightless, unmarked, and for the first time, you understand what rest truly means. Not pause, not healing, not return, only presence so soft, so complete that nothing more is needed, not even breath. This room never opens, because it was never meant to be entered. It simply was. And now, so are you. It is not quiet, not in the way silence is often imagined. It is deeper, older, beyond anything that could ever be broken by noise. This is not the absence of sound. It is what remains after sound, after bells and names, footsteps and tears, after stories, after prayers, after breath. This silence does not surround you. It becomes you, and in becoming you, it teaches you something final, something simple and weightless. You were never the sound. You were never the echo. You were the stillness holding. Then both you have no more questions, not because they were answered, because they no longer need to be asked. You are not searching. You are not remembering. You are not waiting. You are simply still in the silence. It does not close. It does not fade. It does not end, because it is the one. Things that never needed a beginning. It held the world before it knew itself, and now it holds you, exactly as you are. Nothing more, nothing less. Only hush, only this. The silence that outlived sound, and the soul that Feudal learned how to stay. The story is complete. No more footsteps, no more scenes. Only the peace you've earned be remembering you were never lost. Sleep now, forever softly.